I'll start with some brief remarks, and as I said, Dr. G. Park is on his way. एक कोशिश ये रही है बंबई में, कुछ आंदोलन भी हुए, कुछ रैलियां भी निकली अडानी के खिलाफ, कि ये इतना बड़ा कांड है वैश्विक स्तर का, भारत का तो ही, मगर ये वैश्विक स्तर का कांड है कि इसको डिकोड कैसे करे, इसको डिकंस्ट्रक्ट कैसे करे, आम लोगों की भाषा में इसको कैसे समझाए। हम लोग 24 तारीख को हमारी पदयात्रा थी, 24 जनवरी को, जब हिंडनबर्ग की रिपोर्ट निकली थी, नफरत छोड़ो भारत जोड़ो के नाम से, जो हमारे आंदोलनों की एक यात्रा चली थी। तो ये जब गुड न्यूज आया था कि हिंडनबर्ग रिपोर्ट के बाद 25 तारीख से ये शेयर मार्केट उसके गिरने लगे, तो जैसे हम लोग क्रिकेट मैच का स्कोर कार्ड फॉलो कर रहे थे, वैसे ही रोज शेयर मार्केट का 5 लाख गिरा, 10 लाख गिरा, 7 नंबर से 20 नंबर पे आ गया, वगैरह वगैरह चल रहा था। तो एक खुशी का माहौल भी था, क्योंकि इसमें और एक बात बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि एक तो मोदी का क्या रोल है ये पूरे अडानी के कांड में, वो परंजो और रवि बताएंगे, और दूसरा ये केवल एक कांड नहीं है, ये राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा का भी सवाल है। इट इज अबाउट आवर सॉवरेनिटी, हमारे संप्रभुता का भी सवाल है कि जिस कंपनी को हमारे पूरी की पूरी संपत्ति, देश के नेशनल रिसोर्सेज और हमारी पूरी संपत्ति बेची जा रही है, where our exit and entry points, where our ports and airports are increasingly under the control of Adani, then we can imagine what's happening. Where we know that Gujarat is today the largest entry point for exit of drugs into this country, and there is no inquiry worth the name. तो ये कांड को हम जैसे आंदोलनकारी और कार्यकर्ता कैसे समझे? We came across some new terms like round tripping. कल एक बैठक थी जहां परंजो और रवि ने और भी बातों को हमको समझाया था. What I've understood this कांड is it's a very simple 5-stage operation or a 4-stage operation. First is it involves cooking up your books or accounts, and for that the Adanis have a firm called Shah Dhandaria, which has some 11 employees, where 23-year-old boys are running that audit company, and they are the ones who settle the Adani accounts. So one is cooking up of the books. That leads to the manipulation in the share market. So the prices increase through various of the offshore companies that pump in money from offshore into the markets out here, into the Adani companies, pumping up the prices. And और वो शेयर के सामने फिर वो LIC, SBI, फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल बैंक्स वगैरह से लोन उठाते हैं और वापस ऑफशोर कंपनीज में जाते हैं, और इट बिकम्स एन टोटल पॉन्जी स्कैम. एक पूरा एक चक्रव्यूह, एक राउंड ट्रिपिंग उन्होंने कर दिया था. उसमें मतलब वो इनॉर्मिटी की अगर हम लोग कुछ नंबर्स देखें, नोटबंदी के दौरान, नोटबंदी नहीं था, वो नोट बदली थी, तो नोट बदली के दौरान 18.5 लाख करोड़ की बात थी कि वो इतनी नोट्स हमारे देश में जिसके लेकर उनको करना था. तो अडानी का जो मार्केट शेयर है, मार्केट वैल्यूएशन है, दैट वाज 19 लाख करोड़ व्हेन द हिंडनबर्ग रिपोर्ट केम आउट. टुडे इट हैज गॉन डाउन टू हाफ दैट वैल्यू, अराउंड 8 lakh or 9 lakh crores. That's what it has gone down to. But prior to the Hindenburg report, already Ravi Nair and Paranjo had written about these offshore companies, about the entire scam. When Ravi did this story in 21, for at least 3 days, the Adani's shares slumped to about by 17%. He had already done his job, but that story then went past. But अभी कहीं विदेश से आया है तो पूरा देश जाग चुका है, पूरी दुनिया जाग चुकी है. So then we'll also get to know that the role of Adani in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, in Israel, and how, including Australia, how Modi has ensured that the funds come, the governments agree, the corporations agree. And the stories from Bangladesh ka headline news hai, where Ravi and Paranjoy are on the TV screens every day, but there's not a line away. But how the Bangladesh people are paying 3 times more than that they should be paying. After Ravi broke that story, today Bangladesh is in ferment, and the entire power purchase agreement is being renegotiated because of their efforts. The other point is that today we heard about the Supreme Court calling the SEBI to give the report within 2 months. I'm wondering what will happen because the SEBI may pass a few remarks here and there, but finally will they settle with a few fines? Because Adani is very happy. Adani is saying the truth shall prevail. And we know what Adani's truth is. So the JPC demand is not being met. The SEBI Supreme Court inquiry is welcome, but then it will also require a lot of public pressure from Andolans, from political parties to ensure that it is on track. And the other worrying part was also the LIC and the SBI, where ordinary people's money was put into these banks. So now where do people invest the money? Where do people go? That is a big question for ordinary people. I'll just end with a few remarks. And I really don't want to say much because today we come here to hear Paranjoy and Ravi. Okay, essentially, it is very clear that Modi is involved in this scam. It wouldn't be happening without him. If you look at this book by Ravi Nair and Paranjoy is just mind-blowing, actually. The cover itself, I'll just read the cover. The Rafale deal, flying lies, question mark. The role of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in India's biggest defense scandal. This is the cover. You can imagine what they're writing. Okay. And until now, both of these journalists were facing a gag order, especially Paranjoy was. We know what happened to him in EPW. Oh, he just left, but he's still here. It's good for us, yeah. So the kind of attacks on the media, the kind of attacks on honest journalists who refuse to be sold out, who refuse to bend over. So we have some handful of journalists left in this country. We have Niranjan Takle of our state, but we also have, I think we are honored to have Paranjoy and Ravi with us today. The other point is, coming to the SEBI matter, I mean, the names that came up in the Hindenburg report, actually Hindenburg report is basically built upon the research done by Ravi and Paranjoy. That's really the reality of the Hindenburg report. But coming back to the SEBI issue and even the Hindenburg report, the Ketan Parekh scam, the people involved with Ketan Parekh, the people involved with Jatin Mehta, the entire diamond lobby from Palanpur that is involved in this round tripping and these Ponzi scams, they are all currently working with the Adanis. You have Rajesh Doshi, you have Vinod Adani, who's actually the kingpin in Cyprus, and they talk about nationalism. So Vinod Adani is actually the brain, the elder brother is actually the brain who's handling this entire operation, this entire offshore companies, 38 of them, I believe, and from abroad. So the point comes that in 2005, 2007, in that period, SEBI had done an inquiry into the diamond operations of the Adani companies. And that time they clearly found them guilty, and for 2 years they were banned from operating. That is what the SEBI can actually do. So again, as I say, that the scam is there. It needs to be exposed further. It can actually bring down this government as it has brought down the UPA to government. That is the enormity of this scam, because this current government is the most corrupt government that we've had in independent India. The corruption is not seen, but the corruption is known. In Karnataka, they like to take 40% commissions. But as long as you're part of that RSS BJP setup, you can get away with murder, you can get away with corruption. So the responsibility on the Andolans, on political parties, on investigative independent journalists, this entire team that has come together is what I believe is where we should be sitting down together and planning the strategy ahead. But today is the time to understand the scam, and that is where we are. I thank you. Now I'll call upon Paranjoy ji to... He's coming, but he's just on his way. And kitna time lagega? 10 minutes. Don't worry, he'll come. Okay. So let's give a hand for Paranjoy ji. Yes.
Dhanyavad. Thank you very much, Firoz Meti Borwala. I'm truly honored. I'm truly grateful. ये पहला बार मैं मुंबई में एक सार्वजनिक मंच से आप लोग से बात कर रहा हूँ. मेरा हिंदी कमज़ोर है, मेरा तीसरी भाषा है, फिर भी मैं कोशिश करूंगा, मैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा समय में हिंदी में बातचीत करूंगा। मेरा मित्र मलयालम भाषी है, रवि जी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा समय अंग्रेजी में बात करेंगे। Before I start, I want to thank, I'm truly honored that 10 organizations that have come together, and thanks to that, all of you are here. People's Union for Civil Liberties, Center for Indian Trade Unions, Sarva Shramik Sangh, Maulana Azad Vichar Manch, National Alliance of People's Movements, Bombay Catholic Sabha, Indian Muslims for Secular Democracy, Dalit Panther Samanvay Samiti, Bharat Bachao Andolan, Maitri Sangstha, and of course the Mumbai Marathi Patrakar Sangh. Is there any time limit about how much? 45 minutes. You think they'll sit through it? Okay. I'll speak to you for about 30 minutes, or Ravi will also speak to you for 30 minutes. And we'll try and answer your questions also at the end of it. मैं शुरू करने के पहले हमारा कुछ व्यक्तिगत बात भी करना चाहता हूं। मैं अकेला भारतवर्ष का नागरिक हूं जिसका खिलाफ अडानी घराने का वकील 6 मानहानि का केस इस वक्त जारी है, और इसमें 2 में गैग ऑर्डर है, तो इसलिए मेरा कोशिश किया मुंह मेरा बंद करने के लिए। मैं 2.5 साल खामोश था, मैंने सार्वजनिक मंच में कुछ बातचीत नहीं किया। आज मैं क्यों बात कर रहा हूं ये भी आपको मैं बताऊंगा। मैं अकेला पत्रकार हूं, मेरा नाम हिंडनबर्ग रिपोर्ट में आए हैं। 32,000 शब्द का रिपोर्ट है, उसमें एक पत्रकार का नाम है, वो मेरा नाम है। और जब अडानी के वकील लोग जे ये हिंडनबर्ग रिपोर्ट का जवाब दिया, वो जिस तरह का जवाब मिला, मैंने सोचा हमारा मुंह और बंद नहीं करना चाहता हूं, मेरे को मुंह खोलना ही जरूरी थे। I must state my position. I must talk about what has happened. I was silent for 2.5 years. Before I talk about myself, I want to tell you some things about the Adani Group. I have had the privilege of meeting Shri Gautam Adani, who's 7 years younger than me. I'm 67, he's 60, on 2 occasions. But I think the Adani Group is unique in this country for several reasons. Adani जो घराना है, इसका जो अभिनवत्व है, जो यूनिकनेस है, ये मैं समझता हूँ हमारे देश में बिरला ग्रुप के बारे में आपने सोचा, टाटा ग्रुप के बारे में आपने सोचा, अंबानी रिलायंस ग्रुप के बारे में सोचा, but the Adani group is actually different from all these groups. क्यों? 20 साल पहले गौतम अडानी का नाम किसी ने नहीं सुना था। हाँ, हीरा का कारोबार चल रहा है यहीं पे नजदीक जवेरी बाजार में, बहुत कम लोग गौतम अडानी जी का नाम सुना था। परिवार का कुछ प्लास्टिक्स का कोई कारोबार कर रहे थे, आयात निर्यात करते थे। तो जिस रफ्तार से 20 साल भी नहीं लगा, 15 साल शायद, विश्व के सबसे अमीर व्यक्ति में 2 नंबर 3 नंबर पोजीशन, he became the 2nd or the 3rd richest man in the world. ये मैं समझता हूं, no industrialist in India, his rise has been so spectacular. मगर कहानी तो यहां खत्म नहीं होता है। Just as the rise of the Adani business empire, the Adani corporate conglomerate was truly spectacular, even more spectacular was his the precipitous fall in the prices of his shares. हम लोग कभी नहीं सोचा था कि 24 जनवरी 2023 में एक रिपोर्ट आएगा और उसके बाद अडानी घराने का शेयर लगभग 9 कंपनी है। 24 जनवरी से आज आप देखिए कि एक कंपनी का शेयर 50% गिर गया, किसी का 60% गिर गया, किसी का 70% गिर गया, किसी का 80% गिर गया। एक महीना से थोड़ा सा ज्यादा समय लिया। मैं भी समझता हूं ये भी हम भारतवर्ष का इतिहास में कभी नहीं देखा, कॉर्पोरेट जगत का इतिहास में हमने कभी नहीं देखा। So what we are seeing is actually something that has never ever been seen in this country. अडानी जी कहा कि हम भारतवर्ष के सबसे बड़ा एक फॉलो ऑन पब्लिक ऑफर, यानी कि 20,000 करोड़ बोला हम पब्लिक से लेंगे। मगर ये शेयर इशू की कहानी है, मैं संक्षिप्त में बताता हूं। जब पब्लिक के लिए ये शेयर इशू शुरू हुई, सिर्फ 1% लोग 1% सब्सक्रिप्शन आया, 1% सब्सक्रिप्शन ऑफ द पब्लिक पार्ट ऑफ द शेयर ऑफर। दूसरे दिन में भी एक और 2%। आखिरी दिन हमने देखा कि घोषणा किया कि 20,000 करोड़ हमें मिल गया। इसमें हम किसी लोगों का नाम सुना, हमने बहुत लोगों हिंदुजा का नाम हमने सुना, हमने नाम सुना सज्जन जिंदल जी का नाम, JSW जिंदल स्टील वर्क्स, हमने सुना सुनील भारती मित्तल जी का नाम, हमने और भी लोगों का नाम सुना, गुजरात का टोरेंट ग्रुप का मेहता परिवार, एक और दवाई बनाने वाला एक संस्था है जाइडस कैडिला, उनका नाम भी सुना। और हम लोग सोचा कि बस अभी इनका संकट खत्म हो गया, हिंडनबर्ग का कहानी खत्म हो गया। मगर अचानक अगला दिन अपना अडानी साहब ने एक घोषणा किया कि हम सारे पैसा सबको वापस दे देंगे। और कुछ शब्द उन्होंने इस्तेमाल किया, सब लोग थोड़ा बहुत आश्चर्य हो गए थे। He says, I am morally obliged to return this money. So he returned the money and the shares kept coming down. So there are many, many stories about it. One person whose name was not mentioned, he's not here with us. His name is Abir Dasgupta. Ravi, Abir, me, and several other people. हम लोग हमारा किताब का काम चल रहे हैं। उम्मीद है कि आने वाले कुछ महीनों के अंदर हम ये किताब आपके सामने प्रकाश करेंगे। और we will urge all of you to help us out so that we can bring this book out and hopefully bring out the book in different languages. अलग-अलग भाषाओं में हम चाहते हैं आपके सामने ये किताब हम पेश करेंगे। तो मैं आपको 5-7 मिनट बताना चाहता हूं एक जो अडानी समुदाय का अभिनवता, यूनिकनेस। I'm saying that never before has one corporate group spread its presence in so many segments of India's economy. आपको जब हम लिस्ट अभी पढ़ के सुनाएंगे, आप लोग आश्चर्य हो जाएंगे कि एक घराना आज भारतवर्ष के अलग अलग अर्थव्यवस्था का जो हिस्से में आज है और बहुत सारे हिस्से में एकदम उनका नियंत्रण जिस तरह सा है, दे आर डोमिनेटिंग दो सेक्टर्स ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. I don't think any other business group ever had this kind of dominance. और बहुत जगह में एक तरह से मोनोपोली भी है in comparison to any other private corporate group in this country. तो मैं जल्दी जल्दी आपको ये लंबा लिस्ट पढ़ के संक्षिप्त में आपको कहानी सुनाता हूं. मुंद्रा गुजरात में अडानी जी ने शुरू किया था उनकी SEZ, स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन. उस समय कांग्रेस सरकार थे गुजरात में. फिर उसके बाद मोदी जी 2001 में गुजरात का मुख्यमंत्री बना. फिर 2014 में भारतवर्ष का प्रधानमंत्री बना. और ये SEZ, स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन, विशेष आर्थिक क्षेत्र, इट इज लाइक अ कंट्री विद इन अ कंट्री. उसमें भारतवर्ष का जो आयकर, सीमा शुल्क, उत्पादन शुल्क, कस्टम्स ड्यूटीज, एक्साइज ड्यूटीज, इनकम टैक्स, दे डोंट अप्लाई. It is a republic within a republic. Today, the biggest SEZ in India is Mudra. That's a big story. It is India's biggest container port. मतलब समुद्र का जो बंदर है, जो कंटेनर ट्रैफिक है, मुंद्रा एकदम नंबर 1 है. और भारतवर्ष के अगर सब तरीका का जो सामग्री या गुड्स ट्रैफिक जो आयात निर्यात यातायात करते हैं, इसमें अभी भी एक नंबर में है जवाहरलाल नेहरू पोर्ट ट्रस्ट, मुंबई के नजदीक है, नवा शेवा में. बट मुंद्रा इज द सेकंड biggest port in India, privately operated, but the second biggest port in terms of traffic. एक समय लोग कहते थे ना, चीन का एक सुंदर एक मोती का माला अगर विश्व का मानचित्र अगर देखें, if you look at the map of the world, that string of pearls starts in the Horn of Africa and ends in the South China Sea. Different ports where the People's Republic of China, the government has a presence. आज भारतवर्ष का एक हीरे का जो माला है, आप अडानी जी के साथ है. ये है समुद्र का बंदर. 12 पोर्ट है, 12 सी पोर्ट्स. 12 भारतवर्ष के जो पश्चिमी समुद्र तट है, पूर्व समुद्र का तट है, सब जगह में है. गुजरात में 4 जगह में है, मुंद्रा, दहेज, टूना, हजीरा. मुंबई में दिघी, गोवा में मर्मुगांव, केरला में विजयनम, काटुपल्ली, एन्नोर, तमिलनाडु, कृष्णपट्टनम, गंगावरम, आंध्र प्रदेश, धामरा, उड़ीसा और ताजपुर, पश्चिम बंगाल. सारे पोर्ट अभी चालू नहीं है, काम चल रहा है, बट ही इज एक्चुअली ऑपरेटिंग these many ports in India. सिर्फ भारतवर्ष नहीं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में इनका एक बंदर है, एबर्ट पॉइंट, नॉर्थ क्वींसलैंड एक्सपोर्ट टर्मिनल. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Israel में he is operating the second largest port in Israel, place called Haifa. He operates a major terminal in Colombo. He tried to set up a plant in Myanmar, मगर जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो वित्तीय संस्था है, the International Financial Institutions, उसको कर्ज देने के लिए तैयार नहीं था, क्योंकि म्यांमार में मिलिट्री डिक्टेटरशिप चल रहा है, तो वो प्रोजेक्ट उसको अबैंडन करना पड़ा. और हम बाद में बताएंगे किस तरह से आज ये मुंद्रा जी का समुदाय, मुंद्रा जी का घराना, इसके असर पड़ रहे भारतवर्ष का विदेश नीति के ऊपर, हमारे बांग्लादेश के साथ संपर्क, हमारा श्रीलंका के साथ संपर्क, ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ हमारा संपर्क, इंडोनेशिया के साथ संपर्क, हमारे इस विषय के ऊपर हम और भी थोड़ा बहुत कहेंगे। और ये सिर्फ सी पोर्ट्स नहीं, समुद्र बंदर नहीं, हवाई अड्डा भी, एयरपोर्ट्स। Adani currently is the second biggest operator of airports in India in the private sector after the GMR Group. The GMR Group is based in Hyderabad. It operates Delhi, Indira Gandhi International Airport, and of course the Hyderabad Airport. But they are big. और इसके पीछे भी एक बहुत लंबा कहानी है, मगर सिर्फ हम आपको वो लॉन्ड्री लिस्ट बना रहे हैं ना, एक्सेप्ट इट्स नॉट अ लॉन्ड्री लिस्ट. दिस इज द कंट्रीज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, भारतवर्ष का अर्थव्यवस्था का बुनियादी ढांचा. दिस इज इट. जयपुर राजस्थान, लखनऊ उत्तर प्रदेश, अहमदाबाद गुजरात, गुवाहाटी असम, मैंगलोर कर्नाटका, तिरुवनंतपुरम केरला, मुंबई. यहाँ पे आप किस तरह से वो हवाई अड्डा उन्होंने लिया, ये भी एक बहुत लंबा कहानी है. और एक नया आपका एक हवाई अड्डा बन रहा है नवी मुंबई में. स्टिकिंग टू लॉजिस्टिक्स, आप लोग किसान आंदोलन के बारे में सोचा. आफ्टर द फूड कॉर्पोरेशन इंडिया, द सिंगल बिगेस्ट प्रोवाइडर ऑफ सर्विसेज to store wheat and rice, गेहूं और चावल, ये मुंद्रा जी, सॉरी मुंद्रा में है, सॉरी, इट इज गौतम अडानी जी का संस्था चलाते हैं. एग्रीकल्चरल लॉजिस्टिक्स, ऐसा उनका अलग अलग राज्य में 21 राज्य में, सॉरी 21 फैसिलिटीज है, 9 राज्य में कुछ बन रहे हैं. इनके 6 इनलैंड कार्गो वेसल्स है, इनके 7 रेलवे का रेक है, और अलग अलग जगह में इनके वेयर हाउसेस है. और इन्होंने सिर्फ इस इलाका में नहीं, हमारे देश का जो डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट, हमारे देश का जो नौसेना है, स्थल सेना है, हमारे देश का जो वायु सेना है, इन लोग के लिए इजराइल के एक कंपनी के साथ अडानी जी का एक समझौता है. उन्होंने बना रहे हैं मिलिट्री ग्रेड ड्रोन्स. ड्रोन्स का एक अंग्रेजी नाम है UAVs, अनमैन्ड एरियल व्हीकल्स. तो यहाँ पे भी Adani has a very strong presence. He's the first. He has a tie-up with the Israeli company. आप जानते हैं कि भारतवर्ष का पहला प्रधानमंत्री जो इजराइल गए थे वो नरेंद्र मोदी जी, और थोड़ी देर के कुछ दिनों के बाद इस तरह का एक जॉइंट वेंचर एक उन्होंने शुरू किया. मगर पूरा अडानी ग्रुप के सबसे ज्यादा मुनाफा आता है, अडानी जी का जो सबसे बड़ा कंपनी है अडानी एंटरप्राइजेस, उनका कंपनी तो सैकड़ों कंपनी है. Ravi's done an investigation and he said if you look at all the subsidiaries, associate companies, Adani Group has over 1,000 corporate entities, including entities across the world. इसको पूरा दिखाने के लिए एक इतना बड़ा एक फैमिली ट्री बनाना पड़ेगा आपको. ये अलग कहानी है. But the Adani Group is the biggest importer of coal to India. भारतवर्ष कोयला विदेश से आयात करते हैं, सबसे 1 नंबर स्तर में है अडानी जी. अपना कोयला खनन के लिए माइंस है ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, वो भी एक बहुत लंबा कहानी है. कारमाइकल माइक बोलते हैं. सिर्फ कोयला खनन नहीं होता है, वहां से रेल रोड में एक एबॉट पॉइंट टर्मिनल जाता है, 10 साल पहले अडानी जी सोचा था कि ये विश्व के सबसे बड़ा एक कोयला खनन का एक टर्मिनल हो. He wanted this to be the world's largest greenfield coal mining project. अलग अलग कारण के लिए, इंक्लूडिंग द फैक्ट दैट वहाँ के जो पर्यावरण के लिए जो सामाजिक संस्था है और वहाँ के जो आदिवासी है, एबोरिजिनल्स बोलते हैं, उन्होंने आंदोलन किया. एंड दिस प्रोजेक्ट हैड टू बी स्केल्ड डाउन to less than 1/5 of what it was originally envisaged. एक समय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो वित्तीय संस्था है, they didn't want to invest in the project. हमारे मोदी जी ऑस्ट्रेलिया जब गए थे अडानी जी के साथ, हमारे भारतीय स्टेट बैंक का जो उस समय चेयरमैन मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर अरुंधति भट्टाचार्य मैडम थे, वो भी थे. उस समय एक प्रस्ताव था कि भारतवर्ष के इतिहास में भारतवर्ष का सबसे बड़ा बैंक $1 अरब, $1 billion was supposed to be given for that project, but that never happened. वो स्टेट बैंक का अपना बोर्ड ने ना कह दिया. ये भी एक लंबा कहानी है. यहां कहानी खत्म नहीं होता. कोयला का कहानी लंबा है. After the public sector Coal India Limited, the biggest coal miner in India is the Adani Group. They run several companies, and they run actually 9 coal mines. They are called MDOs, Mine Developer and Operator. They're the second biggest after coal. And it's not just coal. Loha Ayusk, they have iron ore projects, they have copper smelting projects. They had a project to कोयला से प्लास्टिक बनाएंगे, मगर वो स्थगित हो गया वो प्रोजेक्ट. So it is not surprising that कोयला से जब विद्युत उत्पादन करते हैं, when coal-based electricity is made, Adani is number 1 after NTPC, यानी कि नेशनल थर्मल पावर कॉर्पोरेशन. अलग अलग राज्य में इनका है, और इसमें एक यूनिक प्रोजेक्ट है जो आज बहुत विवादित हो गया, थैंक्स टू रवि नायर एंड अदर्स. ये बांग्लादेश का प्रोजेक्ट. इंडोनेशिया और ऑस्ट्रेलिया से अडानी का अपना कोयला खनन जहां कर रहे, वो जहाज में आएगा उड़ीसा का एक पोर्ट में धामरा, वहां से रेलगाड़ी में जाएगा गोड्डा झारखंड में. वो एक लंबा कहानी है, किस तरह से वहां का भूमि अधिग्रहण हुई थी, किस तरह से वहां का लोग को पैसा नहीं मिला, आज भी वो लड़ रहे हैं. किस तरह से वहां का नदी से पानी ले रहे, किस तरह से रघुबर दास का सरकार उसको SEZ बना दिया. और जितना बिजली उत्पादन हो रहे हैं 100%, 100% is going to Bangladesh. It is being exported. But that's not the end of the story. Bangladesh says it is surplus in electricity. और रवि जी वहाँ का जो ठेका है, power purchase agreement, he studied it in great detail and he came out with a report saying that Bangladesh is going to pay 3 times the price for that electricity. जिसका कीमत होना चाहिए 33 रुपया, उनको 100 रुपया देना पड़ रहा है. और कुछ महीना पहले वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट का एक लेख आया है, वहां पे बांग्लादेश पावर डेवलपमेंट बोर्ड का भूतपूर्व डायरेक्टर जनरल साहब ने साफ साफ कह दिया, शेख हसीना जी मोदी जी का दोस्त को ना नहीं कह सकते हैं. तो मैंने नहीं कहा, उन्होंने कहा. अब पढ़िए ना, अब वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट का ही है, मैंने कुछ नहीं कहा, उन्होंने कहा. आज बहुत बड़ा विवाद चल रहा है. अब तो बांग्लादेश बोला कि कम कर दो, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी रेट कम कर दो. ये विवाद अभी भी चल रहे हैं. ऐसे बहुत सारे प्रोजेक्ट है, मगर अडानी जी तो बहुत समझदार आदमी हैं. जब रजत शर्मा उनका साक्षात्कार किया था इंडिया टीवी में, और इंडिया टीवी का एक हिस्सा अडानी ग्रुप का एक कंपनी में भी है, आदित्य कॉर्पेक्स करके. तो अडानी जी को, गौतम अडानी जी को एक सवाल उठाया रजत शर्मा जी, उन्होंने कहा आप इतना जल्दी इस रफ्तार से कैसे इतना बड़ा बन गया? तो हमारे माननीय उद्योगपति, पूंजीपति श्री गौतम अडानी जी ने एक शब्द को 3 बार बोला, मेहनत, मेहनत, मेहनत। हार्ड वर्क, हार्ड वर्क, हार्ड वर्क। I'll tell you a little more about his hard work. मगर आज जो अलग-अलग शहर में जो आप गैस का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हो रहे हैं, जो आपका रसोई में आ रहे हैं, जो आप खाना बनाते हैं, वो जो गैस बनाते हैं, जो गाड़ी में सीएनजी यानी कि कंप्रेस नेचुरल गैस बनाते हैं। पब्लिक सेक्टर एक कंपनी है, उसका नाम है इंद्रप्रस्थ गैस, नंबर 1 है। नंबर 2 इज अडानी ग्रुप। ही इज एवरीवेयर, ऑल ओवर इंडिया। गुजरात, हरियाणा, केरला, कर्नाटका, तमिलनाडु, राजस्थान, मध्य प्रदेश, उत्तर प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, उड़ीसा, महाराष्ट्र, झारखंड, असम, एक दो शायद नाम मैं भूल ही गया, कोई बात नहीं, हमारा लिस्ट में इतना नाम है। सो ही इज द बिगेस्ट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर ऑफ गैस टू सिटीज। मगर अडानी जी तो समझदार है बहुत, वो नहीं कहने चाहते कि हम काले कोयला। He is not this great advocate of big coal. वो कहते हैं कि मैं जलवायु परिवर्तन में मुझे मालूम है कि जलवायु परिवर्तन हो रहा है, there's climate change happening. So Mr. Adani is the single biggest producer of equipment and power, solar energy, सूरज का ऊर्जा, and wind energy, pavan se urja. So the Adani Group is the single biggest generator of electricity using wind and solar energy. They have projects across the country. They have dozens of projects, 33 solar energy projects, several wind energy projects. कहानी जल्दी खत्म करना पड़ेगा हमें, इतना लंबा कहानी है हमारा, पूरा किताब आपको पहले से ही ट्रेलर आपको दे रहा हूं मैं। ये बुनियादी ढांचा, ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर में ओवरनाइट अडानी ग्रुप बिकेम द सेकंड लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ सीमेंट इन इंडिया। एक स्विट्जरलैंड की एक संस्था है, कंपनी है होलसिम नाम करके, वो खरीद लिया। होलसिम के साथ एसीसी एक समय टाटा समुदाय में थे, एसोसिएटेड सीमेंट कंपनीज, अंबुजा सीमेंट्स, ये उन्होंने खरीद लिया एंड दे बिकेम इंडियाज सेकंड बिगेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ सीमेंट। इसके पीछे एक लंबा कहानी है, रवि शायद आपको बताएंगे। बुनियादी ढांचा में रह जाइए जरा, रियल एस्टेट। अडानी ग्रुप इज सेटिंग अप more than 300 projects across the country, but the most controversial project is इस शहर का धारावी रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट। इसके पीछे एक बहुत लंबा कहानी है, तो मैं रवि जी को बताऊंगा किस तरह से एक ठेका खत्म हो गया, अभी अदालत में है, और एक नया ठेका आया। This could be arguably one of the biggest real estate projects in this city. There are people here who know Bombay real estate supposed to be one of the most expensive in the world. चलिए थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते हैं। सड़क बना रहे, 6 सड़क बना रहे। एक समय मैंने पहले बताया, the Adani Group was the single biggest aggregator of cut and polished diamonds, and they were studded in jewelry and it would be exported. तो विदेश से रफ डायमंड्स उन्होंने आयात करते हैं, सूरत में अलग जगह में उसको कट एंड पॉलिश करके वो सोने का ज्वेलरी में जाके विदेश जा रहे। वो कहानी खत्म हो गया। अडानी जी का बड़ा भाई विनोद अडानी जी का समधी, उनका नाम है जतिन भाई मेहता। He is very big in this. His 2 companies, Winsome and Forever, are among the biggest NPAs in India, यानी कि नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स, यानी कि बैंकों से उन्होंने कर्ज लिया और वापस नहीं दिया। आज हमारे जतिन मेहता साहब कहीं है, सीबीआई का 10 एफआईआर है, कुछ केसेस चल रहे हैं, हमें हमें मालूम नहीं है कहाँ पे है। हमें मालूम है कि मेहुल चोकसी जी एंटीगा में है, नीरव मोदी लंदन के पास एक जेल के अंदर है, मेरा स्कूल का मित्र विजय माल्या भी लंदन में है और ललित मोदी जी भी लंदन में है, मगर जतिन मेहता जी कहाँ पे है इस वक्त हमें मालूम नहीं है, शायद सरकार को मालूम है। सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहता हूँ कि जतिन भाई मेहता का जो बेटा है सूरज, उनका शादी हुआ विनोद अडवाणी जी का बेटी खुरपा के साथ। ये फैमिली में भी बहुत कुछ है, मगर मैं ज़्यादा समय आपको नहीं लेना चाहता हूँ। 2-3 बात ख़त्म करना चाहता हूँ। आप लोग तो घर पे तेल का इस्तेमाल करते हैं ना? पराठा बनाने के लिए, पकौड़ी बनाने के लिए, समोसा बनाने के लिए। आपने फॉर्च्यून ब्रांड का नाम सुना होगा ज़रूर। भारतवर्ष में इट इज़ द नंबर 1 ब्रांड सेलिंग एडिबल ऑयल्स, 20% ऑल इंडिया। गुजरात में कितना है रवि? 70%, 60, 67% इन गुजरात। अलग-अलग जगह कहीं पे 25% है, कहीं 33% है। But the Fortune brand, which is a tie-up with another group called Wilmar of Malaysia, they are the single biggest suppliers of edible oils to India. हम लोग विदेश से लगभग आधा हमारे जो हम लोग खाने के लिए हम जो तेल इस्तेमाल करते हैं, हम विदेश से आते हैं। इसको कहते हैं पामोलिन, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मलेशिया, इंडोनेशिया से आते हैं, यहाँ पे रिफाइन करके हम बेचते हैं। कहानी अभी तक हुआ नहीं। अरे बाप रे बाप! अडानी जी दाल का भी कारोबार करते हैं, चीनी का भी कारोबार करते हैं, और आप लोग सेब खाते ना? You like apples? He is the biggest supplier of apples in India. विदेश से भी आते हैं और हमारे देश के हिमाचल प्रदेश, जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, ये जगह से उन्होंने एप्पल खरीदते हैं। हमारे मित्र साईनाथ जी बैठे, इसके पीछे कितना बड़ा कहानी है उनको मालूम है। वो जो सीमेंट प्लांट क्यों हिंडनबर्ग रिपोर्ट से खुशी है, ये भी बात मालूम है। आखिरी जो है, आखिरी शायद नहीं है, और भी है, यह है मीडिया, यानी कि लोक माध्यम। एनडीटीवी का मालिक कौन है आप जानते हैं? मैं हमारा कहानी खत्म होने के पहले कुछ व्यक्तिगत बात करना चाहता हूँ, जो जहाँ से मैंने शुरू किया था। ये 6 मानहानि का मुकदमा केस जो हमारे खिलाफ चल रहे हैं, ये क्यों चल रहे हैं? इसमें 2 केस मुंद्रा में चल रहे हैं। आप लेख पढ़ सकते हैं, ये वायर करके एक वेबसाइट में एक लेख है, इसका सुर्खियाँ है, मोदी गवर्नमेंट्स 500 करोड़ बोनांजा टू अडानी ग्रुप। ये था कि ये जो विशेष आर्थिक क्षेत्र में जो द रूल्स हाउ दे वर चेंज्ड, एक कंपनी को सबसे ज्यादा फायदा मिला, वो है अडानी पावर। उसके बाद मैंने ये भी लिखा, ये उस समय मैं इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल वीकली का संपादक था, हमने ये भी लिखा, देखिए वो रिफंड मांग रहे हैं, 500 करोड़ का रिफंड मांग रहा है। ये 500 करोड़ सरकार ये रिफंड का जो एप्लीकेशन है, जो दरखास्त है, वो प्रोसेस कर रहा है, मगर सरकार ये नहीं देखा कि वो पैसा दिया कि नहीं। अब अगर ज्यादा इनकम टैक्स देते हैं, ज्यादा आयकर देते हैं, तो आप कहेंगे हम ज्यादा दे दिया, तो आप रिफंड के लिए एक एप्लीकेशन कर दिया, मगर पहले आपको तो पैसा देना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद आपका पैसा वापस आ जाएगा। इस केस में 500 करोड़ जो कस्टम्स ड्यूटी है, जो सीमा शुल्क है, उन्होंने नहीं दिया था। तो हमारे ऊपर बहुत लोग नाराज हो गए थे। भारत सरकार ने जवाब नहीं दिया, अडानी जी जवाब आया, ये लेख ईपीडब्ल्यू के बाद वायर ने छपा, उसके बाद हमारे माननीय समीक्षा ट्रस्ट के जो ट्रस्टीज थे, उस समय मैं मुंबई में रहता था, हमारा बेटी बहुत दुखी थे, हमारा बेटी वहाँ बैठे हैं, हमारा बीबी भी बहुत दुखी है, हम लोग को छोड़ के मुंबई चले गए ना बोल के। तो हम वापस चले आए मुंबई से, क्योंकि हमारे समीक्षा ट्रस्ट का माननीय जो ट्रस्टीज है, हमें बुलाया गया, बोला जी आपने जो काम किया, क्योंकि एक वकील का चिट्ठी आया कि आपने मानहानि किया, यू हैव कमिटेड डेफमेशन। और मैंने जवाब दिया, मैंने नहीं, एक वकील साहब ने जवाब दिया, मगर ये जवाब देने के पहले हमने समीक्षा ट्रस्ट का अनुमति नहीं लिया था। I did not take the prior permission and consent of the Samiksha Trust before I engaged the services of a lawyer pro bono to respond to the legal notice of defamation against the publisher, that is the Samiksha Trust, the editor, me, co-authors, etc., etc., etc. So I was called to Delhi. I was told कि बहुत खराब काम तुमने किया. You have committed an act of grave impropriety. तो मैंने बोला मैं माफी मांग रहा हूँ, मगर I don't think I've committed an act of grave impropriety. It is a technical error. I'm going to apologize to you publicly. But don't say it is an act of grave impropriety, क्योंकि ये एक तकनीकी गलती मेरा हुआ और मैं मानने के लिए तैयार हूँ, मैं माफी मांग रहा हूँ आपसे. वहाँ के जो बड़े बड़े हमारे ट्रस्टी साहब ने इसके बाद कहा, आपने इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल वीकली जैसे एक संस्था है जिसका उम्र भारतवर्ष के उम्र के आसपास है, इसको आपने खत्म कर दिया. यू हैव डिस्ट्रॉयड द ईथॉस ऑफ एन इंस्टीट्यूशन कॉल्ड द इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल वीकली. ये भी बोला कि एक सह संपादक हम ला रहे हैं, वी आर गोइंग टू अपॉइंट अ को एडिटर. ये भी बोला आप अपने नाम में और लेख मत लिखिए, आप बहुत अहंकारी है, आपका पहले जो संपादक थे अपने नाम में नहीं लिखा, दे वे अननेम्ड राइटर्स, माय प्रीडिसेसर्स. फाइनली इन्होंने बोला आखिरी बात, पुल डाउन दिस आर्टिकल एंड डू नॉट लीव द रूम अंटिल द आर्टिकल इज पुल्ड डाउन. तो वेबसाइट से एक आर्टिकल निकालना ज़्यादा समय नहीं लगता, तो मैंने दिखा दिया, देखिए इट इज़ डाउन, एरर 404. मैं एक कोरा कागज़ मांगा, I wrote out my resignation and I told the world about it. Then there was a lot of hue and cry. Hundreds of people came out in my support. Some people opposed me. I was privileged and honored that 2 Nobel laureates, Amartya Sen and Angus Deaton, supported me. Eminent scholar Professor Noam Chomsky supported me. Former Finance Minister of West Bengal Ashok Mitra supported me. But that's a longer story. The short story is that cases were filed against us. मैंने किया, जाना पड़ा हमें, क्योंकि मानहानि एक क्रिमिनल है, दंडनीय अपराध भी है, इट्स अ सिविल ऑफेंस. सो इट वाज अगेंस्ट द वायर, माय को-ऑथर्स, वी फाइनली वेंट देयर. आई अपीयर्ड बिफोर द ऑनरेबल फर्स्ट क्लास जुडिशियल मैजिस्ट्रेट मुंद्रा. आरोपी हाजिर है? हम बोला जी हाँ, आरोपी हाजिर है. मैं दस्तखत किया. Then the lower court magistrate, not in Mundra but in Bhuj, told Adani Power's lawyer, this is the wire, you don't have to remove the article. Remove one word and one sentence. So you can read the article, you can find out all the details. The story didn't end here. It took a very interesting turn after that. May 2019 में लोकसभा चुनाव खत्म हो गया. लोकसभा चुनाव का नतीजा तब तक घोषणा नहीं हुआ. Just before the Lok Sabha election results were announced, suddenly Adani's lawyers withdrew the cases against everybody. My 3 co-authors, against the entity that runs Wire, everybody except me. Then in January 2021, I got a non-bailable warrant of arrest against me. My wife, my daughter, my family, they were very upset, naturally, because my lawyer said, घर पे मत रहो, किसी वक्त आके हथकड़ी लगा देंगे, जेल में डाल देंगे. तो मैं और किसी के घर रहा 9 रात. On the 10th day, my lawyer said, this is bad in law. You cannot issue a non-bailable warrant for non-appearance in court. That was the allegation against me, कि आप अदालत में हाजिर नहीं थे. और उन्होंने कहा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट और कुछ कहते हैं कि फॉर नॉन अपीयरेंस इन कोर्ट पहले आप एक बेलेबल वारंट इशू कीजिए. रवि हैज अ बेलेबल वारंट अगेंस्ट हिम, ही विल टेल यू मोर. Mine was a non-bailable warrant. Anyway, the short story is that the Gujarat High Court stayed it. It was interesting that the Press Trust of India got that non-bailable warrant of arrest before my own lawyer, and they sent it to me on WhatsApp. So the High Court of Gujarat stayed the execution of the warrant. I appeared in Mundra. The day I appeared in court, the portal with which I am a consultant, जिसके साथ हम सलाहकार हैं, उनके ऊपर Enforcement Directorate का छापा लगा. Then I appeared once in court. I appeared again in court. Second time was in March 2021. After that, no news. My lawyer says, don't worry. No news is good news. As a journalist, I was always told, bad news is good news. But anyway, हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. There are two other cases of defamation against me. You can read the articles. They were published in NewsClick. It pertains to an series of articles which had a title, Justice Arun Mishra's parting within gift of 8,000 crore to Adani. हमारे माननीय न्यायाधीश जो सबसे उच्च न्यायालय का जज थे उस समय, and now he went on to become the National Human Rights Commission, भारतवर्ष का जो मानवाधिकार संस्था का जो हेड बना उन्होंने. तो अडानी पावर का वकील कहा कि आपने न्यायालय का मर्यादा कमजोर कर दिया. You have lowered the esteem of the judiciary in the eyes of the people of India. मुंह बंद तुम्हारा. 2.5 years ago, September 2020. Why am I speaking today? Because Hindenburg raised 88 questions. Question number 84, I mentioned. They said, no, we have done nothing against this critical journalist. We believe in freedom of expression. We believe you are free to criticize me. Then they said, why did you try and arrest him? He said, no, it's a judge that did it. So I had to explain. I wanted to tell the world this is what happened. Okay? The story doesn't end here. NewsClick's head, Prabir Purakasta, he's 75 years old. Another small shareholder, D. Raghunandan, he's 73 years old. I'm 67 years old. We traveled, and Abir Dasgupta earlier, we traveled halfway between Delhi and Mumbai to Kota. From there, we traveled about 120 kilometers to district Baran. Gramin न्यायालय के सामने वहाँ का मैजिस्ट्रेट, ऑनरेबल मैजिस्ट्रेट के पास हमने जमानत के बेल बॉन्ड की एप्लीकेशन दिया 10,000 रुपए का. वहाँ का लोग हमें श्योरिटी दिया. और ये भी अभी इस वक्त चल रहा है कहानी. बीच में मैंने 2 बार अडानी जी के साथ मेरा व्यक्तिगत मुलाकात हुई थी. But on both occasions, I was told it is off the record. Therefore, I can't say anything more about this at this particular point of time. बहुत लोग कहते हैं यार, तुमने सारे खबर हिंडनबर्ग को दिया जरूर. तो मैंने बोला मैं सच बोलूं, आप मेरा बात विश्वास में मत करेंगे, मैं हिंडनबर्ग रिसर्च का नाम भी कभी नहीं सुना. 24 जनवरी को सुना. इससे पहले मैंने सोचा था कि हिंडनबर्ग जर्मनी का राष्ट्रपति था 30 का दशक में. उसके बाद हिटलर बन गया जर्मनी का चांसलर, और उनके नाम में एक हवाई जहाज बना था, जेपेलिन बना था, और दैट वाज सपोज्ड टू क्रॉस द अटलांटिक का महासागर, मगर बीच में आग लग गया, 35 लोग का मृत्यु हो गया. एंड देन आई लर्न दैट दिस स्मॉल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बेस्ड इन न्यूयॉर्क विद अबाउट 6 or 7 people headed by a person called Nate Anderson, they named the company to symbolize a man-made disaster. So all I can say is what Firoz Bhai has already said. Yes, they have drawn substantially on the reports prepared by Ravi, by Abir, by me, and they're in the public domain. You can read it. We were surprised at the impact of the Hindenburg report. Now the Supreme Court has set up a committee. Time will tell. Achanak, the 20,000 crore issue has been subscribed. Congress का प्रवक्ता जयराम रमेश जी ने आरोप लगाया कि केंद्रीय मंत्री ने टेलीफोन लगाया, इसके बाद सुनील भारती मित्तल जी, सज्जन जिंदल जी, हिंदुजा जी, फलाना ढिमकाना ने सब पैसा दिया, और फिर उसके बाद तो ये रद्द हो गया. द मनी हैज बीन सेंट बैक. द स्टोरी ऑफ गौतम अडानी is not over. I will ask Ravi to take it forward. And I thank all of you. मैं अत्यंत विनम्रता से सबको कहना चाहती हूँ, thank you so much for listening to me.
I'll now invite Ravi Nair to take the stage. He's a friend. We worked on the EVM issue together. He's one of a kind, an investigative journalist. He's amongst the most courageous investigative journalists in the country, and his research and his capacity to come out with these articles, the latest one being on the Chinese connection, which we'll talk about. So I invite Ravi Nair to take the stage.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming here, and thank you, Feroz, for inviting and organizing this program. Adani's story is too long. If we start to go one by one, we can speak on weeks. We can speak for weeks on this subject, because the kind of businesses and the number of businesses and the number of companies in this group is too enormous that it's very difficult to cover the entire story in a few hours. So before starting with anything, I'll start by saying that Paranjota just said that I have a bailable warrant. I'll start with that. One fine evening,
Dr. G.G. Parekh is amongst us. So thank you for being here. And if you can come up here. Okay, fine. Thank you. आपका आना हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है. शुक्रिया. Sorry.
One fine evening, a couple of policemen walked into my house. I mean, I never had such an experience, policemen coming into my house. So I thought, what happened? He said, there's an arrest warrant. I said, what? He said, arrest warrant. From where? So I said, I would like to see it. And first he refused. And then he showed me this arrest warrant. It was from a local court, Mansa Taluka Court in Gandhinagar district in Gujarat. I didn't know what was my crime, because if a summons is sent, that summons should. Summons from the court. Yeah, I mean, actually, I should have got a summons from the court. First, they'll send a summons 1, 2, 3. If I'm not appearing in the court, then they'll issue a warrant. First bailable warrant, then a non-bailable warrant. Here, I never got any summons. So anyhow, I spoke to the lawyers and took a bail. Then we started to, we tried to find out what is it all about. Adani Group filed a case against me in 2021 August for defamation in Mansa Court. The court kept sending summons to an address where I used to live once upon a time, and I never received it. So what is this defamation? What is for what? They didn't find any articles of mine as defamatory. So what they could do is they collated a series of tweets, which I tweeted at different point of time, taking points from different articles. Few of them are my articles. There are other articles like from The Guardian, The Hindu, Indian Express, Sydney Morning Herald. I mean, many international publications like that. Then when we got the actual petition, I searched myself, what is it? Then, okay, how this is defamatory? Then let me find out. Then I found most of these tweets are quotes and unquotes. One quote I tweeted exactly, quoted from the Hindu article and tweeted it with the link to the article. So what Hindu wrote in that article is not defamatory, but when Ravi Nair tweeted it, that became defamatory to Adani. So that is the case against me. Next, let us speak on the government's support to this particular group. As in an interview, he just said, Paranjota just said, that Adani said, mehnat, mehnat, mehnat. Let me tell you, this is not Adani's mehnat. This is Modi's mehnat. That's a fact. Because he worked so hard to develop this group. We have hundreds of examples like that. Let me tell you one example within India. He explained about the Godda power project. So this Godda power project, the initial talk started in 2015 when Modi, Prime Minister Modi went to Bangladesh for the first time in his official capacity as Prime Minister of India. He wanted to increase the economic cooperation between India and Bangladesh. So few MOUs signed. And that 2 MOUs were for 2 power projects. So initially it was like 2 Indian companies will invest $5.5 billion in Bangladesh, and they will build the power stations there, thermal power stations or gas-fired power stations there, and produce electricity for Bangladesh. And one MOU was signed by Chotabhai Ambani, it's Reliance Power, and the other one was Adani Power. 3 months down the line, Adani Power's MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, changed out of the blue, and a new MOU signed. This time, the MOU said that Adani will build a power station at a suitable place in India and will export the entire power generated there to Bangladesh. This is the first time it is happening. It never happened in India because as per the rules, only those companies which are generating surplus power, because if they don't have a PPA, power purchase agreement with any of the utilities, and or beyond the limit of the PPA, whatever they have signed for the PPA, if it is 100 megawatts and they are producing 10 megawatts, they can export 10 megawatts. That is how it works. But a new power station altogether to export power to Bangladesh. So is India power surplus? No. Still we have power cuts. In rural India, still we have power cuts. Farmers are getting electricity for only few hours for agricultural use in many places. In 2016, Adani applied to the Raghubar Das government, the then BJP government of Jharkhand, that they need some 2,000 acres of land for this power project. The government told Adani Group that they can organize 917 acres of land in Godda, Jharkhand. So the land acquisition for this particular project was very violent. Like land cheen liya gaya, farmers say. They didn't want to vacate their land because the compensation was very minimal. And they didn't want to, these are ancestors, I mean, a lot of tribals, farmers, local farmers, most of them were tribal. They didn't want to leave and vacate their land, but they were forced to. The government used power. Adani's people used force. Many people were jailed. Frivolous court cases filed upon them. The activists who were fighting for these farmers and tribals were put in jail for months. And after this, when the land handed over to Adani, the Jharkhand government changed a law. The law was this, that any power project which is based in Jharkhand and selling power outside the state should sell mandatorily 25% of the total production to Jharkhand itself. For Adani's project, this was changed. When we tried to find out, it's in public domain now, it was told that pressure ऊपर से आया था. ऊपर से बोला गया that this should be changed. In 2017, November 2017, Adani Power Limited signed the power purchase agreement with Bangladesh government. In the tariff section, of the power tariff section of the agreement, it said in detail that there are a lot of things took into assumptions to calculate the tariff because the plant is not there. So they assumed that this will, they took a base price for the coal, and these are the taxes, and these are the interest charges. So, and they calculated the power tariff. And remember the date, this was signed on 11th November 2017. When we saw the PPA, it clearly stated, the PPA clearly stated, the power tariff, the calculation, the assumption, they have assumed that in that assumption, they have accounted VAT, central excise, customs duty, service charges, service taxes, all the cess, levies, everything. Now there's a problem here. The PPA was signed on 11th November 2017. But on July 1st, 2017, the government changed the tax regime to GST. So there's no VAT. A lot of local taxes were merged into, and the tax slabs and the tax regime entirely changed. But the PPA still says it is local taxes and VAT. And Bangladesh government was not aware of this. As per the agreement, as per the terms in PPA, any change in the assumption, the Adani Power is liable to inform that in writing within 10 days to the Bangladesh government and Bangladesh Power Development Board, which didn't happen. That's one part of it. In 2019, prior to the announcement to the general election in February, election announcement happened in March. So on 25th February, out of the blue, the Modi government declared that this particular power project is an SEZ, a special economic zone. It never happened like this in India. And in 2016, the same Modi government came out with a rule stating that no standalone power station should be declared or given the status of an SEZ, a special economic zone. He explained already that, Paranjoda explained that the special economic zones have different tax law. It's actually a country within a country. So, the SEZ thing, what it changed was that Adani doesn't have to pay a single penny in taxes to import the power equipment for the plant and any machinery. No tax at all, no import duty, nothing, no customs duty, nothing at all. And in SEZ, if you are starting a new business, you don't have to pay income tax for 5 years. And for the next 5 years, you have to pay only 50%. And from 10th year to 15th year, if you are plowing back from your profit, so you get a 50% benefit. And the PPA already states that Adani doesn't have to pay any tax in Bangladesh. So that means the government forcefully taken the land from farmers and tribes, tortured them, paid very minimal compensation in violation of laws, given that to Adani. Adani is building a coal-powered thermal power station which will draw water from river Ganga, will create enormous pollution there, will sell the electricity to Bangladesh at 3 times the rate what others are giving to, even NTPC is giving to, selling power to Bangladesh, and won't pay any tax. मेहनत है ना? सोचो किसका मेहनत है? Now, when I said that they will draw water heavily from Ganga, there's a small story behind that also. When Adani submitted the application for environmental clearance for this particular project, it was mentioned that the water will be drawn from a river called Chiru. It's a small river in Jharkhand. And they will make a canal or a pipeline of around 6 kilometers, 6-7 kilometers to the planned area to draw the water. Nobody knows what's the reason this changed. Adani submitted a new proposal to the Environmental Ministry that they will be drawing water from river Ganga. So the environmentalists and the people who have knowledge about the subject said that this will create a lot of problem downstream, and this might endanger the lives of the Gangetic dolphins. Ganga is 93 kilometers away from the plant. And for this pipeline, another set of land acquisition happened. The story is same there. The story is same there. Some people, some activists, filed a case on this, questioning this decision to the regional bench of National Green Tribunal in Kolkata. They said that, and that's a rule, that if anything changes in a submitted proposal for the environmental clearance, any change happened to it, a new study should be conducted and a completely new proposal should be submitted. That didn't happen. Here only one part was amended and said that we will be drawing water, not from Chiru, but from Ganga. That's the only change they did. And they didn't do a new study. They didn't submit a new study report. How it is going to affect the environment and ecology. They didn't do that. The bench dismissed the petition. The first was a technical ground. They said, you should have submitted this petition within 30 days of Adani giving that application. Actually, everyone came to know about that much later, months later. That was one technical ground. Second, the order says, and order questions the activist who filed the petition, what is your locus standi? You stay in Delhi. What is your locus standi to file a petition for Jharkhand? That's where we are. Now, let us go to another Mehnat story. This time we'll go to Sri Lanka. In 2020-21, the employees unions of Colombo Port. Colombo Port is a major port. It's a very big port. It's 7th largest or 7th busiest port in the world. Because a lot of transshipment containers go there. It's a deep port. The employees started a protest and they halted the operations, completely halted the operations of the port and its terminals for 3 days. The reason was that the then Rajapaksa government decided to give one terminal, which was almost 37% already constructed, to the Adani group. So why Adani group? That was the question. And we started the investigation there. We interviewed a lot of people, including the Minister of Port and the Chairman of Port Authority. They told us on record that the Narendra Modi government forced the Sri Lankan government to give this port terminal, that is Eastern Container Terminal, to the Adani group. And somebody told me on my face when I spoke to him, Adani must be a god for you, not for us, and we don't care. We will not let this go to Adani. So, okay, everyone said this on record that the Indian government forced. But still we can't go ahead. We need something, some solid proof, because the people who said, they said, I recorded, they can backtrack anytime. They said that, okay, I said this, but he misrepresented it, anything can. Luckily, we got an access to a cabinet memorandum, not one, two, cabinet memorandum, submitted by the Minister of Port to the Sri Lankan cabinet for the approval of this project. And it clearly stated, as per the recommendation of Government of India, to give this terminal to the Adani group, dash, dash, dash. That was enough. Mehnat number 2, right? Let us come back to the Hindenburg report here. See, if we look into all the projects, it will be very big. It's too long. Paranjoy missed few points, like when Adani's business. In last couple of years, Adani tried to venture into copper smelting plant in Mundra. He already got the approval from the Environment Ministry that whatever the pollution, that's okay, fine. That's one. Second, an aluminium mine and refinery in Orissa. Then third, a coal gasification project. A coal gasification means the coal is the basic fuel, and it's a tedious process and a very polluting project. They will use coal to make PVC and polyester. Now decided that after this Hindenburg report came, when the capital expenditure was reworked by the group, they put a hold, they decided to hold the coal to gasification project for the time being. Let us speak about the airports, Mehnat. In 2019, July, the PMO decided, not Civil Aviation Ministry, the PMO decided to privatize 6 airports, which was then under the Airport Authority of India. If we go through the annual reports and the financials of Airport Authority of India, that is AAI, these 6 airports were making the maximum profits other than major airports, that is Delhi and Mumbai, where Airport Authority of India has 26 and 36% stake each. So people thought, okay, Airport Authority of India will have a stake. It's a public-private partnership project. Then PMO decided to form a group of secretaries to take this project forward. The group of secretaries first met on December 10th. Second time met, this is in 2018. Second time met on December 12th. And 14th, they floated a tender. So this discussion happened in PPPAC, that is Public-Private Partnership Accounting Committee. A long discussion happened amongst the secretaries and Niti Aayog. We got the minutes of the meeting, the original minutes of the meeting. And when we went through, we shocked. The terms were set in such a way that Adani should fit in. And all airports should go to Adani. Like the Finance Ministry, the Secretary of Finance, Joint Secretary of Finance Ministry, who was part of the committee, he pointed out in discussion that in the long run, Airport Authority of India will not benefit from this because all the airports given till now privatized, where Airport Authority of India has a stake in that. Here you are saying per passenger fee is the only criteria. The new operator, whoever will win the bid, they will pay only per passenger fee, a certain amount for every passenger who is using the airport. And the developer will have the right to develop the entire land of the Airport Authority of India. If the lands are less, more should be acquired by the government and give to this person or this entity. And that person, that entity will keep the airport after the entity developing it for 50 years. Till now, all the airports like Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi were given 30-year lease. These 6 airports will go on a 50-year lease. Now, more bizarre thing, that after 50 years, if the developer have to give this back to Airport Authority of India, Airport Authority of India have to pay a certain amount. That is the depreciated value of the buildings and the assets the entity which is operating this has been created. When these issues were pointed out by the Ministry of Finance and Niti Aayog, the others already said that the group of ministers already discussed this, the group of secretaries already discussed this, and it was their decision mentioned here, overruled. And the same thing, next. This particular secretary of Finance Ministry, he said, and Niti Aayog supported, Niti Aayog sent a detailed report on this, saying that all 6 airports should not go to one entity. That will create problem later, because if the entity which is managing this airport, if it fails financially, it will affect not 1 but 6 airports. So let us not do this. Overruled. No. If one person is capable of handling 6 airports, it will go to him. Done? Next. Only those who have experience in developing an airport, developing, managing, and operating an airport should participate in the bid. If the entity who is participating or decided to participate in the bid doesn't have any experience, they can tie up with some other companies, international companies or Indian companies, who have enough experience in development and operation and management of airports. Overruled? No. December 14th, bid document came out. A week later, I think no, a month later, the bidders met. 25th Feb 2019, tenders opened. Adani won. All 6 airports. Magic. Out of the blue. Overnight, he became the largest private airport operator in India. And how Mumbai airport went to him, that everyone knows. Almost everyone knows that. One anonymous whistleblower wrote a letter to Finance Ministry saying that GVK Group is misusing funds, which is meant for the development of MIAL, Mumbai International Airport Limited. So Mumbai International Airport Limited is a consortium of 3 companies. One is, of course, GVK, which had 51% stake. The rest are with the 2 South African companies. One is actually from South Africa, and another is that company's subsidiary from Mauritius, Bidvest. In 2019, after Adani won the bid for 6 airports, Adani approached one of this minority stakeholder, Bidvest, and told them that we are interested to take your stake in MEAL if you are ready to sell it. The guys were ready. But in the initial agreement which was signed in 2006, there was a clause. The majority stakeholder holds the right, the first right to buy the stake if a minority stakeholder is selling it. So the arbitration started, case went to court, Mumbai High Court, then Delhi High Court, 2 different cases, and it reached Supreme Court. Arbitration went on. Out of the blue, Ministry of Finance जाग गया, एक whistleblower का letter आया था, let us investigate. Income tax, AD, CBI, they filed cases against GVA and started investigation. SFI also.
Serious fraud investigation of this.
They filed cases. They raided the houses of GVK promoters, the Reddys. Couple of months down the line, now it is Adani Mumbai Airport Limited. Mehnat, right? I can give you enough examples like this. I don't want to take much time because I think. Oh, okay. Hindenburg report says a lot about Adani's offshore entities and the offshore transactions of Adani Group companies, how money is coming, FDIs especially is coming into that. That's a very long topic, a long subject. So if we speak on that, I'll take hours. Instead of that, I'll tell you a small, this is also not a small story, but still I'll try to finish it in 5-10 minutes. Foreign portfolio investors and foreign institutional investors, that is FPIs and FIIs, invest money in Indian share market. It's not only in Indian, everywhere. They keep investing in equity, buying stakes of these companies, not buying actually, they invest in these companies. When the share prices, if the company's fundamentals are good and it's earning enough profit, different dividends are giving, and and if they feel that the share price of these companies will go up, they'll sell it and they'll invest somewhere else. So it's a kind of cycle. In 2020, we found out that there are few FPIs, and before going there, FPIs never invest in one company or one group, because that is, they can't hatch all the eggs in one basket. It's very tricky. Suppose if that company collapse or something happens, they'll lose money because the portfolio managers who handle these funds or the investment managers, they manage people's fund. People give the money, invest the money. So they are responsible to the investors. They earn the profit, share the profit, and take a cut for themselves. This investment funds, that's how they work. They pool in money. So we found out quite few FPIs based out of Mauritius and some of them in Cyprus and in Singapore and Hong Kong. They keep investing in India and only in Adani Group companies. So when we checked, we found out there is one entity called Albula Investment Fund. It kept 98.7% of its total investment in Adani Group companies. That's not possible. In normal circumstances, that's not possible. So we tried to find out more. We did an investigation and we found out 6 of them share the same address, office address. They have the same phone, 4 of them have the same phone number and fax number. And one company, these are actually managed by companies like, I don't know how to explain it. How do you explain these companies like Mossack Fonseca, like kind of companies? How do you explain them?
Yes, companies set up by auditors and lawyers.
Yes, yeah. These are actually these are not shell companies. These are actually registered companies set up by lawyers and chartered accountants and in professionals, banking professionals who are not working in the banking industry, but they help people to set up fictitious entities in tax havens and route the money without coming into the light of law. To expert is sitting here, so I could have asked him. So yeah. No, they are registered. So they help to set up fictitious companies. That's what I said. So these companies, most of them, all of them, except one, have their money, more than 95% of their investment in Adani Group, and one had around 92%. Mauritius is very notorious. When we can't find out anything about the companies over there. We won't get their financials, balance sheet. We don't know even who are the directors and who are the actual owners behind it. So what we try to do is we used a method which nobody used before. That's called legal entity identification, LAI. In LAI, if you are lucky, you can find out the parent organization and sister concerns. If you are lucky, if they have given it. We tried our luck and it was there. 6 companies were related to one entity through a chain of entities, and the parent entity is registered in Mauritius, which is called Monterosa Investment Holdings, Monterosa International Holdings Limited, MIH Limited. We published it in July 2021. That's the same thing you can read in Hindenburg report now. All the details what we published is there. And this company, this Monterosa, when we tried to find out more, we found out that this Monterosa has connections with few Indian fugitives. Sandesharas of Gujarat, who are in Kenya or Nigeria, I think, said to be in Nigeria, who did taken up loan from the banks and just vanished, just like many others. One is this. Second, Jatin Mehta, that is Vinod Adani's daughter's father-in-law. another fugitive. SEBI said in 2021, after these reports were published, TMC parliamentarian Mahua Moitra raised these issues in Parliament. So the then MOS Finance, Minister of State for Finance, told the Parliament that SEBI is investigating about these companies. And once the investigation is complete, we will share the report. Now, after 1.5 years, we don't know what happened to that investigation. Where is the report? Now the government is saying SEBI will investigate. So what happened to the previous investigation? Where is the report? Now, in between, after last September, between September and October, within time of four weeks, it was published widely in newspapers, business newspapers. Gautam Bhai went to the SEBI headquarters. Normally, this business tycoons, if their companies are listed, they never go to SEBI. I don't remember. Do you think when listed companies, promoters, do they visit SEBI and meet the chairman often? It is called for an investigation. Right. So here, the Mehnatwala Gautam Pai went to SEBI headquarters, met the directors and held a discussion with the chairperson of SEBI. Not once, but twice, within the span of 4 weeks. Now, if SEBI is investigating the fictitious financial dealings of Adani Group companies, how can the SEBI chairperson, board of directors, meet Mr. Gautam Adani? And then now the government is saying that SEBI is investigating. Even today's Supreme Court order says that SEBI will investigate. So what happened to the previous investigation? Where are the reports? What is the outcome? I would like to stop it here because we can go on with examples for so long. There are China connections, a lot of things, but I don't want to touch upon there because. So, thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you, Ravi. This was an important breaking story by Ravi today. Before you go, there are two announcements. One is please register yourselves. And the other is every program requires some funding. So we require, and the program's ahead, we request you to donate generously. We have Ali and Yash who will come with a little kapareka bag to you all, and we request you to
करते ही रहते हैं। वो गलती क्या है, उनको लगने लगा है कि शायद वो कुछ भी करेंगे, दुनिया भी माफ करेगी और हम लोग भी माफ करेंगे। मुझे नहीं लगता है कि वो उनका इस किस्म का आशावाद सफल होने वाला है। धीरे धीरे एक परिस्थिति निर्माण होगी जिसके अंदर एक तरफ से नौजवान बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर रास्ते पे उतरेंगे और दूसरी पॉलिटिकल पार्टियों के अपने कड़वे पुराने अनुभवों को भूल करके खिलाफ खड़े होने की उनकी इच्छा इतनी पैदा होगी, बोल करके मोदी और अडानी के नाम को जोड़ करके जो कुछ हो रहा है उसके खिलाफ कुछ न कुछ इस पैमाने पर आवाज उठेगी, स्थिति बदलेगी, नया जमाना आएगा, हमारी रिपब्लिक बच जाएगी और हम कम से कम मेरे मरने के पहले ऐसा कुछ हो जाए तो मुझे थोड़ा बहुत संतोष होगा। शुक्रिया।
Yes, there are two parts of the program left. हमारे मिहिर भाई बोलेंगे, उसके पहले we'll open it for some questions. Some questions. We would like some comments and questions from the audience, please. And then we'll have Mihir Desai giving the last remarks. Yeah. Any questions, comments? Sir, I think you would like to say something? Okay. If there's nothing in particular, then we can have, there is, okay, fine.
चेक। मैं प्रोजेक्ट वर्क के चलते बांग्लादेश में बहुत बार काम किया हूँ, तो इसके चलते मैं दो क्वेश्चन मैंने चीज़ पूछना चाहता हूँ। एक, ये जो अदानी वाला कहानी बांग्लादेश के लिए हुआ है और इसमें जो शेख हसीना की पर्सनल इन्वॉल्वमेंट आ गया है, हम लोग जानते हैं कि सामने बांग्लादेश का इलेक्शन है और इस इलेक्शन में शेख हसीना का जो अवामी लीग है उनका अगर ठीक ठाक वोट किया जाए तो बांग्लादेश में वो जीतेगा नहीं। तो इस सिचुएशन में व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? एंड अनदर थिंग इज दैट कि बांग्लादेश में मैं जब काम करता था आज से 1 साल पहले भी, और आई सॉ लॉट ऑफ पीपल्स आर डेमोन्स्ट्रेट एंटी इंडियन and demonstrating anti-Modi also, but they are not in anti-Indian imperialism. इंडियन इंपीरियलिज्म जो आज धीरे धीरे आगे बन रहा है, जो नहीं था अभी बन रहा है, उसके बारे में वहाँ पे जो आवाज उठ रहा है, उसमें शेख हसीना की गवर्नमेंट को जो इफेक्ट हुआ है और इस अदानी के कांड के बाद ये इफेक्ट और ज्यादा होगा कि नहीं होगा?
सर, ये सवाल का जवाब इतना आसान नहीं है, क्योंकि भविष्य में बांग्लादेश का जो चुनाव आने वाले हैं, इसका क्या नतीजा होगा, इस साल खत्म होने के समय में शेख हसीना एक बार और चुन के वहाँ के हेड ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट बनेंगे कि नहीं, ये समय बताएंगे। मगर आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा, बांग्लादेश में एक हिस्से लोग हैं जो भारतवर्ष के खिलाफ है, और अब समय बताएंगे कि बांग्लादेश किस तरह से एक समझौता में आएंगे। हमने सुना है कि विदेश सचिव हमारे फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी ढाका गए थे। हमने ये भी सुना है कि एक नेगोशिएशन चल रहा है, और समय बताएंगे कि जो बिजली का जो उत्पादन है उसका किस रेट मिलेगा कि नहीं। अभी अडानी ने स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में ये घोषणा किया कि कोयला का दाम बढ़ गया, हम इसको कम करने के लिए तैयार है। कितने देर के लिए, ये समय बताएंगे। मगर संक्षिप्त में अगर आपको जवाब देना है, हम एक व्यक्ति को मदद करने के लिए, क्योंकि जैसे रवि ने कहा, झारखंड के लोग का नुकसान हो रहा है, भारतवर्ष का पर्यावरण में एक नुकसान हो रहा है, बांग्लादेश को ज्यादा पैसा देना पड़ रहा है वो जो बिजली उनके पास है, तो एक व्यक्ति का मुनाफा के लिए अगर दो देश के बीच संपर्क खराब होना चाहिए, मैं समझता हूँ ये होना हम लोग को विरोध करना चाहिए, और मैं समझता हूँ कि बांग्लादेश के लोग की भी विरोध करेंगे। मगर आने वाले 6-8 महीने में क्या होगा नहीं होगा, इसके ऊपर भविष्यवाणी करना मुश्किल काम है, मगर देखा जाएगा, समय बताएंगे।
What is the China connection in all this issue?
Okay, today Ravi and I have written for this website after a gap of a very long time, 2.5 years. Please go to adaniwatch.org. It is an article about how a particular associate of the Adani group, his children owned a ship which has been sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council for trading in oil with North Korea. This is the substance of the story. The Adani Group has had a very long association with China. The DRI, the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, which is the intelligence wing of the Customs Department in India, have, in a show cause notice, alleged that equipment that has been imported from China have been over-invoiced. And it has moved through various jurisdictions, and this has resulted in the cost of that equipment going up. This is a case that is currently pending in court. Once again, I am saying nothing. It is the government of India and the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence which has made these allegations. So I guess we'll have to wait and watch. Please read this article, and you will also get to know many of these foreign portfolio investors which are based in these tax havens. There is this China connection. This particular person, there are pictures of him with Gautam Adani, and he is associated with several companies which are associated with the Adani Group. So this is the story in a nutshell. What Ravi didn't tell you is a very interesting story about Sri Lanka. The former head of the Ceylon Electricity Board made a public deposition before a committee of members of parliament. And he said that the then president of Sri Lanka, Rajapaksa, had told him that a particular contract, not the Colombo port terminal contract, but a separate project in northern Sri Lanka, which is a renewable energy project of solar and wind energy, should be given to the Adani Group. Once he said this, naturally there was a big hue and cry. Rajapaksa issued a statement saying nothing of the sort. And Adani Group issued a statement saying, no, we want to help our neighboring countries. And the gentleman who deposed, and you can see it on YouTube in public, he says, I became very emotional and I withdraw my statement. So these are some of the instances that I can give you, how the Adani Group's activities are having an impact which is going beyond India. In Australia, there's a story to be told. In Indonesia, there's a story to be told. In Nepal, he has a presence. In Israel, he has a presence.
Right. Any other questions? Ali? And then to Geeta. Later, yeah, Shraddha is also. Ah.
I I was just listening to all your, the litany of investments that Adani has made all, over the last 10 years. My first question is, what sort of a pattern do you see in the kind of investments and the interest that, the broad kind of pattern? Is there a broad pattern at all? Or
Yes,
is it
there
just
is.
very
There is a pattern.
random? My second question is, is there any pushback at all from other corporate houses? Because there doesn't seem to be any.
You see, I cannot answer what on behalf of anybody else. I can say that Jairam Ramesh alleged that a union minister phoned these high net worth individuals and told their family offices to invest in the Adani follow-on public offer. I never said it, Jairam Ramesh said. Who this union minister is, what he said, I don't know. All I know that Mr. Gautam Adani withdrew that public offer. So we can only speculate. How their names came in the public domain, we don't know. But the fact is, Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal, Mr. Sajan Jindal, the Hindujas, the representatives of the Torrent Group and Zydus Cadila Group never denied what was attributed to them. That's one point. I do not know how other Indian businessmen are reacting. But Geeta, there is a pattern, and you can see the pattern. And this pattern was pointed out not just by Ravi in Adani Watch. Before that, CNBC Television 18, which is part of the Ambani media empire, Economic Times, which is part of the Times of India group, they all pointed out there were defamation cases against Lata Venkatesh of CNBC, against the journalists from Economic Times. So we see different kinds of patterns, including a pattern of the way journalists who report what happens to them. At the end of the day, as Ravi had pointed out earlier, it's not us. Mahua Maitra, she's a member of the Lok Sabha. She's saying, I wrote to SEBI 1.5 years back. What are you doing about it? So you'll find the pattern. It's quite easy to find the pattern.
No, what I also meant was the pattern in terms of the fact that he is controlling all of transport today, from the ports to the airports to just about every way in which
Absolutely.
any entry of goods and services
Absolutely.
in the country.
I mean, the Godda
Also
project.
natural resources.
The Godda project is a classic case.
So
the coal is coming from coal mines in Indonesia and Australia, which are operated by the Adani Group. It comes to the port in Orissa, Dhamra, which is operated by the Adani Group. It goes in a railway track to Jharkhand, to a power plant which is operated by the Adani Group. Do I need to say anything more? There is a pattern. It is not us. It is there for everybody to say yes.
There's an interesting case which is still pending before Supreme Court on Adani Group, that is of over-invoicing on import of coal and machineries. The story is very interesting, and it's actually, people say about over-invoicing and they don't know how it works. Now, we know that Adani Group owns mines, coal. I'm saying an example of coal only right now. Adani Group owns mines in Indonesia and Australia. These are subsidiaries of Adani Group companies, which is registered in Singapore. That Singapore company is a subsidiary of a company registered in Mauritius. That Mauritius company is a subsidiary of Adani Enterprises Limited. Okay, I'm putting it the most simplest possible way. So Adani company mines the coal, uses Adani's own ships and transport to India, to Adani's own port in Mundra or wherever it is. Now this Adani's company, the mining company in Malaysia or in Australia, they will raise the invoice to another Adani company, either in Singapore or in Dubai, and that Adani company from there will raise the invoice to Adani Enterprises Limited. Now this Adani Enterprises Limited will sell this coal to Adani Power Limited in Mundra or Rajasthan or Maharashtra, wherever it is. And Adani's, it'll come to Adani's port. The entire storage, warehousing, transportation of this coal is handled by Adani. So if Adani is, legally it's not, nothing wrong in that, okay, but the game is, if Adani's Indonesian company is sending the coal from Indonesia to Mundra, why a Singapore company or Mauritius company should raise the invoice?
Increase the price. We've got what,
And
830.
then this is something you will appreciate. After the power is generated, it is transmitted by Adani Transmission. It comes to Mumbai. It is distributed by BSES, Bombay Suburban Electricity Supply, which used to be owned by Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group, but now it is owned by Adani.
इसमें दो वाक्य बोलूंगा. एक तो मराठी का कल ही पता चला कि अडानी का मतलब है एड़ा बनाना. तो वो एड़ा नहीं, हमको एड़ा बना रहा है, वो एक बात है. और विश्व गुरु से हम लोग विश्व चोर बनते जा रहे हैं, वो भी एक बड़ी बात है. ठीक है, आई थिंक वी हैव आनंद, देन वील ब्रेक, एंड देन आई थिंक मीर हैज टू से द लास्ट वर्ड्स. सो दैट फ्रेंड ऑफ देयर्स, आई थिंक ही हैड पुट हिज हैंड अप अर्लियर. अभी अली, द पर्सन बिहाइंड यू देयर. फिर आनंद एंड देन मीर.
Hello. Sir, I just wanted to ask that is this conglomerate too big to fail, as many people say? And if it does fail in any kind of assessment, then what could be the ripple effects on the society?
It's a very good question you have raised. It is so big. It has so many physical assets on the ground that we are not, I don't think it can ever fail. The question is, when you seek to expand your operations by taking loans by banks and financial institutions, including banks that are owned by the people of this country, like the State Bank of India, including financial institutions like the Life Insurance Corporation, and then people become wary, then those same infrastructure projects, the execution can slow down. Theoretically, it can slow down. And if that happens, that would have an impact on the economy of this country. We are already seeing certain projects like the Total Energy of France project, where the French company has said, we are putting our investment in hydrogen on hold. There are several other projects, including the Maharashtra project, DB Power, earlier Dainik Bhaskar Group, another project where they are saying, we are not sure. Adani has told the stock exchange authorities that we are not going to go, we are putting on hold the coal to PVC project. So, too big to fail? They said Lehman Brothers can't fail. They said AIG cannot fail, the American International Group, the insurance, one of the biggest insurance conglomerates. All this has happened in 2008, more than 14 years back. General Motors, which epitomized free enterprise capitalism in the US, it was bailed out by the government of the US. So eventually, if these projects failed, you and I and our money will bail it out.
In the cancelled FPO of 20,000 crore, if you go through that document and Adani Group's statements, approximately 4,500 crore rupees were supposed to be invested for the development of Lucknow Airport. Okay. Now that is not happening. That doesn't have money, right? Adani has 7 airports now in their hand, and one is under construction. So this is the exact problem when the government try to create monopolies. If they are struggling to raise fund to develop one airport, they have 7 airports with them, and eighth one is under construction. How they are going to raise funds in the current scenario? And as per the promise, the airport would have been developed by 2025-26, and we are already in 2023. That's it.
I think we'll Anand, आपका last सवाल होगा उसके बाद then Mihir bhai आपका last comment.
Yeah, you started to talk about the role of the media and Adani's control of the media. I mean, we know about NDTV already, the takeover, but we also see there looks like there was collusion between Ambani and Adani, because the debt that NDTV was in was actually paid by Ambani, but then at some point Ambani handed it over to Adani. So is there examples of this collusion?
All right. Ambani company invested a little over 400 crore rupees in the holding company that was called RRPR, Radhika Roy Pranoy Roy, which was the single biggest shareholder in NDTV, which was the publicly listed company. Over the years, the control of that company, it's called Vishwa Pradhan Commercial, went through to another individual called Mahendra Nahata, who is a business associate of Mr. Mukesh Ambani. He's on the board of Reliance Industries Limited. The question is, if for 12 years, Mr. Mukesh Ambani's companies and Mr. Nahata's companies did nothing, it's an interest-free loan. 400 crore without any interest 12 years ago, what it would be today, we can guess. It may be double or more than double. The question is, why did Mr. Ambani and Mr. Nahata decide to sell to Mr. Adani now? You did nothing for 12 years. Why now? So these raises several questions, including the fact that Dr. Pranoy Roy described this entire attempt as a hostile takeover, and subsequently they left, and Ravish Kumar left, and Srinivasan Jain left, and various other people left, and Srinivasan and Ravish Kumar now describes Shri Gautam Adani as the Godi Seth. He also coined the term Godi media. So, Anand, you please connect the dots. I wasn't privy to why. We can only surmise. Why did at this point of time the Ambanis and the Nahata decide to sell? We can't. We can only, your guess could be as good as mine.
Can I just?
Yeah, now we can end. Mihir bhai will give the last comment.
I have to go. So after that, you can continue.
No, I'm not continuing. You're ending.
No,
now.
no. No, I don't want to say too much. I mean, I think we have listened to some two fascinating talks, and also the question answers were quite interesting. I don't want to say just 2 or 3 minutes. One is, of course, there was an Op India article, which basically said that how come these guys are organizing this meeting? Okay.
Oh.
On only the shareholders should organize meeting about Adani. And I think that's right. Only Kashmiris should speak about Kashmir. I totally agree with them. Okay. Only women who are forced to convert through marriage should speak about love jihad. Agreed. Totally agreed. Only possibly cows should talk about cow slaughter. I don't know. Okay. So, I mean, that's one aspect. But the more important aspect is, as it has come out very, very clearly in both the talks, okay? When you're talking about Adani, you're not only talking about shares going up and down. Yeah. You're talking about large-scale employment and unemployment. You're talking about rights of Adivasis being taken away. You're talking about environment being degraded. So all these are human rights issues. They are not just issues of whether some investor has lost some share value in the share market or not. It's not just that. It's much more than that. It's about human rights. Okay, and that's why we have every right to speak about this issue. It affects, and as both of them pointed out, that it is likely to affect the economy at large. It's not just a question of the capital market. Of course, capital market is also important. I'm not trying to run away from fact. But but it is likely to affect the marginalized communities quite a lot. And when you see also that the government, as it was pointed out by both of them, the government has been tweaking the laws, okay, to benefit a particular corporate entity, that's something which needs to be answered by the government as to why they are doing it. I say answered by the government, not answered by the courts, because if you have read Prananjay's article, for which of course he is facing defamation, about a particular judge, of course he mentioned in his talk only about the 7,000 crore, 8,000 crore gift, but the same judge had given 7 judgments in a period of 2 years. Okay. Correct. 7 judgments, including judgments by taking away cases which were being handled by another judge, by sitting in vacation specially to give this benefit to Adani, okay, which ultimately led, if you remember, for 4 judges to come. Unfortunately, Gogoi was also one of those judges, but there were four judges to come and take a press conference against that particular judge being given all these sensitive matters. Okay. So judiciary has also been equally complicit in this. Right. And therefore, we need to talk about this, that it's not just a question of government helping them, but the judiciary helping Adanis. And we need to talk even about that.
Yes.
And that's why I think it's important that we speak about it in forums which may have shareholders, but we don't necessarily is only talking about share prices, but about other aspects of the damage which this kind of a troika of Adani, judiciary and the government is doing to the country. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mihir bhai. We have
सर ट्रॉयका में मीडिया का नाम भी डाल दीजिए, गोदी मीडिया भी है उसमें.
Gautam Adani, yes. So we have just 3 copies left of this important book and some other books are also there written by Paranjoy and Ravi. So one is welcome to buy them, only 3 copies. So I think Neelami
but you can order them.
Neelami karne wale direct to बेचेंगे.
नहीं, you can order them from Amazon, and you can write to us. We'll
signed by both the authors. They'll be signed by both the authors. So yeah, because so thank you for everything.
There was a gentleman who wanted to ask a question. You still want to ask a question?
8:30 बजे घंटी बजेगी, उसके पहले हम लोग खत्म कर दें.
8:30 बज चुका है. We'll talk offline.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello,
Thank you, everybody. Thank
So
you.
Is this Adani gentleman a front man like Naresh Goyal and that Sara guy?
Excellent question.
But you'll have, yeah.
He's fronting for whom? I have no idea. I think Shri Gautam Adani he himself is important.